Okay, so what we're doing today is we're going to make some eggplant parm, which is a wonderful thing to do with an eggplant. Um, we're going to also, I am going to make a little Parmesan type topping for it, and yeah, and I've made this before, if you may not have seen it before, so I'm going to make it again. It's very, very quick, and I'll do that first because it is an ingredient when we actually start making the eggplant. So this Parmesan is the wonderful topping. I always keep jars of it in my fridge and freezer because you can put it on everything. It's made with cashew, so I'm going to use my little food processor here. So we've got 3/4 of a cup of cashew. Yum. We've got 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. So plant-based folks know what nutritional yeast is. We use it a lot. It's a dead yeast. It's kind of a staple in my pantry. It's got a cheesy, savory flavor that it adds to foods. Yeah, look at that. I have a big jar of it. We're going to add some salt. So this is a topping. It's not we're just putting a little bit of this in our parm, so I can actually be pretty generous with the salt. Cheese, cheese made from cow's milk has a lot of salt. It's actually even saltier than seawater. So people expect that salt when they eat a vegan cheese. Okay, we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon garlic powder. And we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of oregano. These recipes are on my website, which is up here, everydayplantbased.com. I don't know about that overlay. I'm not sure I like it. We'll see. And then we want a teeny bit of cayenne. Oh, here it is. Just a little bit. Little of that goes a long way, I always say. Okay, we're going to start up this. This is the Parmesan. So if you're here, would you say hello? It should show up. It should show up on my screen somewhere, and I can see it and add it to the stream. Okay, I'm sorry, this is going to be a bit loud. We're just going to run this enough to make everything not completely, totally into a fine meal. I like little bits of nuts and crunch left in my vegan parm. Here we go. Oh, Karen, helps a lot if you plug in the food processor. Okay. I think that's great. Perfect. It's got little tiny bits of nuts in it. Let's see if I can show you. Little bits of nuts. Well, it's hard to see, isn't it, on the screen? They're very, very small, though, but they will add a nice little crunch as well as this wonderful cheesy, like herby flavor to whatever we put it with. Okay, let me get this out of the way. And then we'll work on our eggplant. Also, this made quite a bit. This made about a cup, and I'm only going to be using 2 tablespoons, so I always save it, have it in my fridge. Like I say, you can also freeze it. So for the eggplant is pretty simple. It's going to get dipped in a kind of floury mixture, and then it's going to get dipped in a breadcrumb mixture, and then it's just going to be baked. So for the baking part, I will not hang around because it bakes for 25 minutes. But I did bake some ahead of time so you can see what it looks like. And we'll go ahead and make a sandwich with what I pre-baked. Okay, so I need 2 bowls here. This is a bowl which already has breadcrumbs in it. I used panko breadcrumbs. I have a cup here. You can use any kind of breadcrumbs. You want them pretty finely crumbly. They the panko breadcrumbs, I read the labels and make sure they don't have oil. So these are panko breadcrumbs with no oil. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of that cheese we just made. And I'm going to use what I already had in my fridge, the same stuff. 2 tablespoons of that. And we're going to use a tablespoon of basil. I'm sorry, a teaspoon of basil. A tablespoon wouldn't be bad. We're going to use a teaspoon of basil. This is a half a teaspoon. So I'm putting in 2 of those. Okay, and then a teaspoon of oregano. More oregano. I love that smell. That just makes me think Italian food. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'll just do a few grains of salt. All right. Let me mix this up a little bit. Just the breadcrumbs and the vegan parm and some herbs. Okay, and then the other bowl has kind of a flour milk mixture. I'm going to use chickpea flour. You can use regular wheat flour, any kind of flour, really. I like the chickpea flour. It makes it, it's kind of an eggy mixture when you do that. So it's just a 1/4 cup of flour and half a cup of plant milk. This is soy milk, unsweetened. It should be you want it unsweetened, right? We don't want sweet in this. Then I'm going to add a teaspoon of cornstarch. The cornstarch seems to help it crisp up. Teaspoons. So again, 2 of my half teaspoon measures. All right, we're just going to mix this up. Then we'll slice up our eggplant and dip it. And first the milk mixture and then the flour mixture. Then it bakes. So I think this is pretty quick. You know, it's really just 2 bowls and a baking sheet. And since I've already cooked some of the eggplant, I won't be putting a whole eggplant on the baking sheet. I don't know if you can even see what I'm doing. I'm just stirring up. I'm just mixing up this flour, milk, cornstarch bowl. Okay. So eggplant. Gotta grab my knife. Some people, sometimes folks say you need to salt eggplant and let it sit, and it pulls the water out of the eggplant. It pulls out what they say is bitterness. I do not ever bother with that. To me, it's just an extra step. It's more time. It's more dishes. And I've never really found eggplant to be bitter. That's my preference. So I'm not going to do that with this eggplant. I'm also not going to peel it. So I didn't peel the ones I cooked before, so we'll see. I'm hoping they're fine. Again, that's just an extra step. Eggplant skin is very thin, especially if it's a fairly young, nice, fresh eggplant. So I'm going to cut these about 1/2 inch in thickness, so you can see about that thick. I really like eggplant parmesan, and this is so similar to, you know, what I used to make before I was completely plant-based. So if you're here, I wish somebody would leave me a comment so I know folks are watching. At least I'm not currently seeing my comments. It could be this new StreamYard technology that I'm not familiar with. Okay. I do say show the comments. You can just say hi, and I'll say hi back. All right. I'm going to get my baking sheet and put it where it's in a convenient spot. I've already got some parchment paper on my baking sheet. And I'm going to put it up here. I don't know that you'll be able to see it, but maybe a little bit. You can see some of it. Okay, so we're just going to dip, and I just kind of use my fingers, and I use a fork, dip it in the egg, I call it egg because it looks a lot like egg, the flour mixture, dip it in the breadcrumb mixture. On it goes to the parchment paper. So we're just going to keep doing this. This is kind of an entertaining exercise, actually. It's a little bit different thing to do. A lot of times people, you know, there are many recipes for eggplant where you fry eggplant. So eggplant really absorbs oil. It can get so saturated with oil. And I don't think you need to fry it because this actually comes out pretty crispy. The way it's baked, the combination of the flour, the cornstarch, and the breadcrumbs, they get it quite crispy. So can show you a little bit of what I'm doing here. I'm laying these out on the baking sheet. And I do want to lay them all out. We'll lay out as many as we can get onto this baking sheet. So if you can find an eggplant that's actually skinnier, they're good too. You know, we want one that's as nice and fresh as possible. We don't want one that's been sitting around in the grocery store for a long time. So make sure it's firm and doesn't have a lot of brown spots or any brown spots. Okay. I think I'm going to be able to get all of these on here. Hi, Margaret. Thanks for saying hello. And you know what? As a reward, you get your picture in the live stream. I sure hope it doesn't cut us off like it did on Tuesday. Almost done here. I'll take your picture off. Yeah, I'm having fun with StreamYard. Okay, make a little space here and get a couple more on the baking sheet. Getting them all. Okay, now I need to rinse my hands and we'll put these in the oven. I don't know about you, but I'm hungry. Okay, so the oven was preheated to 400 degrees. Yeah, I am hungry. So now I want to make my sandwich. The only thing I need to do, let me get the eggplants out of here. I need to toast the bread for my sandwich. So these are the ones I made earlier. I made 4, and of course they were on the end, so they're a little bit smaller. But you can see they are, they've got some browning on them. They're crispy looking. I'm pretty sure they'll be crispy on the sandwich too. So for the sandwich, I looked and looked and looked to try to find a roll that looked reasonably healthy, and I didn't have much luck. So what I ended up buying were these Dave's Killer Bread English muffins. I love Dave's Killer Bread. They almost always have his varieties. Almost always are made without oil. This one has a tiny bit of oil. It's like practically the last thing listed. And I know it's not a lot of oil because it's only 1.5 grams per muffin. So that's not very much. So I'm going to make the sandwich on an English muffin. The other things I'm going to put on the sandwich, I had some marinara sauce from a couple of days ago when I made some spaghetti. I just made a plain marinara sauce. It's just garlic and onion and some fire roasted diced tomatoes. So that's a simple marinara sauce. You can buy jarred marinara sauces that have no oil. Just read the label. I know Whole Foods makes one, Trader Joe's makes one. I'm pretty certain most grocery stores these days have a no oil marinara sauce. That's great. And then just because I like something fresh and crunchy on my sandwich, I'm going to add a little bit of purple slaw, which I've chopped up here, and I added a little lime juice to it. And that's just me. It's just something I like to add that extra little crunchy freshness to my sandwiches. Of course, you could, you can add other things too. It's your sandwich. All right, so I'm just waiting for the bun to toast. Doing classes in my home and, in venues, because I'm also a Food for Life instructor, until COVID hit. I couldn't do that anymore. So I've started doing these live demos. Okay, so I've got my little English muffin. I am going to put on, I'm looking for a spoon. I'm going to put on a little marinara sauce, I think, on the bottom. I'm going to kind of layer it. Hopefully I'll be able to get my mouth around this. Little marinara sauce everywhere. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of cabbage, which really kind of clashes with the red, but I don't care. Okay, so there's my eggplant parm. Oh, you know what else I can add? I can add a little more Parmesan. So let's do that. Okay, now I'm going to have, you'll have to take my word for this. And I tell you, I'm going to eat it. It's going to be delicious. All right, here we go. Mmm. Mmm, mmm, mmm. I don't know if you can tell how crunchy the outside of this eggplant is. It's crunchy. It's toasted and crunchy. And the inside is creamy. That's a wonderful combination. And I think I might add a little more